The night Nabi Sheet exposed Israel's limits there are moments in war when a single failed operation reveals something far larger than its own tactical outcome. The night in the Nabi Sheet area of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley was one such moment. What began as a covert Israeli commando mission ended as a military catastrophe, and its consequences have continued to reverberate across the entire region. The ambush, 4 Israeli military helicopters entered Lebanese airspace from the direction of Syria, territory that has fallen under Israeli control following the collapse of the Assad government. The helicopters deposited an elite infantry unit at the confluence of the mountainous areas of Yafifa al-Karib and Maroon. The commandos advanced toward the eastern neighborhood of Nabi Sheet, moving through the darkness toward a position near the local cemetery. They were expected. Hezbollah fighters were already waiting. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Hezbollah commandos who had been lying in ambush opened fire with light and medium-grade weapons. The Israeli operation was blown. Hand-to-hand combat erupted in the narrow streets. The Israeli Air Force responded with the only answer it had: overwhelming firepower. In total, nearly 40 aerial strikes were launched against this small area in what military doctrine calls a fire belt, a ring of concentrated bombing designed to suppress enemy forces and create a corridor for retreat. The objective was to extract the stranded commandos alive. Initial reports indicate it did not fully succeed. One Israeli commando is believed to have been captured. Hezbollah has neither confirmed nor denied this. The Israeli military has not officially acknowledged the failure, but Israeli media, including the Times of Israel and leading Hebrew-language publications, described the incident using the term extremely difficult security incident, language reserved in Israeli military culture for engagements with high casualties or captured personnel. 29 civilians were killed in the Israeli bombing that followed. Women, children, people inside their own homes. Lebanon's official news agency reported that residential buildings were deliberately targeted. The pattern is familiar, indistinguishable from the one applied in Gaza, where over 70,000 Palestinians have been killed under the same stated justification: the disarming of a militant organization. In Lebanon, the script reads the same. The victims look the same. 20 operations in a single day if the failure at Nabi Sheet revealed the limits of Israeli special forces. What Hezbollah did the following day demonstrated the limits of Israeli air power. On March 6, 2026, Hezbollah conducted 20 separate military operations in a single day. The Israeli narrative that its sustained bombardment of southern Lebanon had degraded Hezbollah's fighting capability was answered with fire. The Haifa naval base, one of Israel's most critical maritime installations, was struck by a barrage of rockets, sustaining heavy damage. Rockets rained down on Israeli military barracks in the occupied Golan Heights. In the southern Lebanese area of Markaba, advancing Israeli military vehicles were struck 3 times in rapid succession, halted in their tracks. Near the town of Qiyam, Israeli tanks moving toward the border were directly targeted, forcing a retreat. Across the engagement zone, Hezbollah fighters destroyed at least 11 Israeli Merkava tanks, among the most armored, and celebrated military vehicles in the Israeli arsenal, along with multiple additional armored units. And then came the drones. New Israeli military outposts were struck by coordinated swarms of suicide drones, autonomous, precise, and cheap. The Iron Dome, Israel's celebrated, American-funded air defense architecture, struggled to respond. When dozens of rockets, missiles, and drones appear on radar simultaneously, the system's capacity fractures. Targets slip through, bases are hit. The myth of impenetrability begins to dissolve. The cost and the quagmire. There is also an economic dimension to this war that Israeli leadership has been reluctant to discuss. Each Tamir interceptor missile fired by the Iron Dome costs approximately $50,000. Hezbollah's rockets and drones cost, by comparison, less than $2,000 apiece. Iran manufactures them. Hezbollah deploys them in the hundreds. Every volley launched forces Israel to expend interceptors worth tens of millions of dollars. The asymmetry is not accidental, it is strategic. And it is bleeding the Israeli defense budget in ways that are beginning to show in inflation figures and public tax burdens. In the settlements of northern Israel, Metula, Kiryat Shmona, Nahariya, the human cost takes a different form. These towns are now ghost towns. Hundreds of thousands of residents have abandoned their homes, displaced to central Israel, living in hotels and emergency shelters. Among them, the anger toward the Netanyahu government is no longer restrained. The promise was clear: push Hezbollah back from the border. Make the north safe again. The reality is opposite. The rockets still fall. The drones still find their targets. The pattern that cannot be bombed away. Military analysts within Israel are now saying openly what the government refuses to admit. The ground campaign in Lebanon is not working. Israel's army, for all its technological superiority, has walked into a guerrilla war, the same kind of war that has swallowed more powerful armies than its own throughout history. The enemy is not assembled in formations. It does not hold fixed positions. It strikes, disperses, and waits, then strikes again. Just as Gaza was not pacified by bombardment, Lebanon will not be disarmed by it. The Nabi Sheet operation, the 20 operation response, the overloaded Iron Dome, the emptied northern towns, all of it points to the same conclusion. Force alone cannot end this, and the more it is applied without result, the more deeply Israel sinks into a conflict with no visible exit. History has a name for this. It is called a quagmire, and those who enter them rarely choose when to leave.